Welcome, everybody. I am so excited that you are here. You're here because you are looking to restart your career after a career break. And I know it can be so frustrating, it can feel isolating and overwhelming. It took me 6 months to find a position after I decided to return to the paid workforce. And it wasn't until I figured out this one thing that I was finally able to land a position. And that is while experience, education, and skills are, of course, important to the job search. At the end of the day, people hire people. Now, this may seem completely obvious, but when you're looking for a job, so much emphasis is put on having the perfect resume or giving the correct answer or not saying the wrong thing. But when you realize there's a human on the other end of this job search journey, it makes it so much easier because you realize that you hold the power by connecting with another person by telling stories. Everyone loves a good story. That is how humans connect. So why should a job search be any different? In this video, I'm going to provide you with 3 storytelling tips that will help you to authentically engage with the person behind the curtain, aka the recruiter, hiring manager, or anybody you're going to meet with along your job search journey. Number 1 is to focus on the impact, not just the action. So here's a real life example for you. Let's say we are getting together for coffee and I tell you I saw a movie and then I leave it at that. I'm sure you would wonder, okay, so what about the movie? Was it funny? Was it sad? Was it the best movie? Was it the worst movie? You want to know what the impact was. Now let's look at that through the lens of your job search. The first thing that recruiters see is, of course, your resume, and you want to stand out from all of the other candidates. But if you are simply putting a bullet point stating what you did, you're not giving them the full story, and that's what you want to do. You want to tell your story through your resume. I mean, as best as you can. And while words on a resume are never going to fully encapsulate who you are, it is a great starting point. So many people strictly put a bullet point of what they did. Let's say you created an organizational system in Excel. So you simply put, created an Excel file to help organize the department's budget. Great. But what did that do? Did it save the department money? Did it create a better, more efficient system that saved time? Were you able to eventually roll that out across the entire company, which saved everybody time and money? Always focus on what the impact is to the company, to the department, to employees, to customers. There will almost always be some impact, and that's what you want to focus on to bring your experience to life. Now, of course, we all know that resumes are just a snapshot of who you are, so you can't go into complete detail, but if you are able to add a bit more detail on the impact, that is going to leave recruiters wanting to know more and leading to phone screens and interviews. And storytelling tip number 2 is to personalize your why. Years ago, I auditioned for Wheel of Fortune, and I had to submit a 60-second video stating why I wanted to be on the show. Now remember, 1 million people submit an application to be on Wheel of Fortune each year, and only about 600 make it onto the show. I needed to stick out amongst all of these other people who are trying to get on the show. And that is why I truly personalized my why. Most people state, oh, I love the show. I grew up with the show. It's on my bucket list. But they hear that all the time. I went deeper and explained why it meant so much to me personally. And that's what you need to do as well. When you are in an interview or have a phone screen and you're asked, so why did you apply for this position? Do not be generic with your answer. I have been on the other side as a recruiter, and I've heard answers from, I really need a job, or this seemed like a great opportunity, or it's a company I've always wanted to work for. That's great, but why. Why is it a company you want to work for? Why is it a position that you're interested in? Tell me why you specifically are wanting to work for this company and in this role. Your why is going to set you apart and have the recruiter and hiring managers remembering you. And that is what you want. And story tip number 3 is do not be afraid of interjecting emotion. Obviously, you don't want to go too far, either making jokes all the time or crying in an interview, but there is a middle ground which will make you seem as though, well, you're human, and you are. And I'll give you an example. Years ago, I worked for a company where I interviewed CNAs, or certified nursing assistants. And this is by no means a glamorous job. It is low paying, it is physical, and you are giving a lot of yourself day in and day out. One of the candidates I interviewed had a very interesting resume. She was in her second act of her career, and her former position was as a TV producer. And when I asked her, what makes you interested in a CNA position? She told me that the year prior, her mom was in the final stages of her life, and they had a CNA who cared for her every day. And she saw what an impact that one person had in her mother's life. And she thought to herself, this is what I want to do. And so she went and she received her CNA license and applied for this position. And I remember her story a decade later. I'm not saying yours has to be as deep, but when you're able to make somebody laugh or have somebody think or have somebody reflect, that means you're connecting, and that is what you want. I'm going to be honest, HR and hiring managers hear the same thing day in and day out. And it is those people who can truly connect and tell an authentic story that are going to stand above everybody else. But here's the thing. All storytelling should have a purpose, and that purpose will always tie back to why you are the best fit for the position and for the company. And if you're able to do that, I can tell you, you're leaps and bounds ahead of other candidates. As a recap, the 3 storytelling tips are to focus on the impact, not just the action. Number 2 is to personalize your why. And number 3 is don't forget to interject emotion. Always remember, there is a person on the other end of every transaction along your job search journey. From grabbing coffee with someone for an informational interview, to the recruiter looking at your resume, to the hiring manager giving you a call, each one of them wants to connect. And the better you are at owning your narrative and creating an authentic, engaging story, the better chance you have of being remembered. And if you'd like 4 unique interview tips to take your interviewing to the next level, make sure to check out my video here. What's the Wizard of Oz? What's he behind? Is he behind a curtain? A curtain. Got it. Okay. I couldn't think of what it was. It was a screen, a window, door. It's a curtain.